Hello and welcome to this update to Backdrop Designer. This is version 1.30 and in this version I've introduced more colour palettes as well as a little experimental additive mode which kind of works in a little bit of a weird way for now until I figure out how to do it better. So what I've got here is just a little palette to test. This is the full colour range. It's got all the colours that we need for checking. So I'm going to just switch on the pixel mode, so that we can see the Commodore 64 shader. You get a little bit of information here about the resolution and the palette. So as you switch through these sliders, you'll get predefined setups. And what you can actually do is, if you're happy with let's say you're happy with this resolution, if you click on the override palette, you can actually see I had that switched on there. So I'll start again. Let's just go through these. So it tells you predefined modes. They've got predefined palettes in there. You can see they switch through it. And if you're quite happy with this resolution, you want to use a different palette, just click on this override palette and you can then switch this for a few different ones, and it goes into a couple of custom palettes that I've made. And then we've got an 8-bit generic palette. It's like a 8-bit console, PC, Gameboy Classic, and grayscale 2-bit, which means there's black and white and two more tones of grey, and then monochrome. So once you're in one of these settings, you can play with the dither range, you can play with the dither image to see what you get. You change these images up for different ones. They're all different predefined patterns and give you a certain kind of look that you might like. And it's just worthwhile trying all these, switching up the different palettes and the resolutions and seeing what kind of look that you get. So if you don't want any dithering, you can bring that range right down, and you won't get any of that. There's also the pixel blending, which kind of changes the way the pixels are blended together in terms of colour. And you also have this little CRT effect, so if you click that, it will overlay kind of like the scan lines of an old TV, like a CRT monitor, and you get these little tiny RGB lights sort of showing through, which kind of looks kind of nice. Plus you get the scan lines, the little lines being separated. So there's that. Now if you wanted to capture this image like quickly and not have to save it and reload it, then what you can do is you can click this little fast capture down here, and what that's done is actually give us this image. You can see it up there. Just make sure you switch on the brush again, and now it's there. And let's say I turn all the shaders off back to normal, and I'll just control backspace to clear everything. I can now plot this down. If I want to plot it down exactly in the middle, I can come down here to this little block that actually plots the sprite in place, and it's already gone to the right size. So this is now kind of like a rasterized image, and if I wanted, I could do the shader again on top of that, or whatever I want to do. So a new cool thing that you might like, let's see, I'm just going to switch to a circle brush. I'm going to take away some tones I don't want. I want just the soft circle, so that's the blue channel, and I'll just go for, let's actually go for yellow on everything, change that to new colour. And let's say I want to kind of add some tone to this, so I go up here and click additive blending. This is actually going to add to this, but you can't save this out. It's compatible with the fast capture. So I'm just going to bring the tone down a bit. I'm just going to like scale this right up. like that. I'm just going to give this a bit of a light like that. I can also do a kind of vignette if I bring in the outer rim and turn everything to black, turn off the additive and scale this so it's just in the edges and give it a bit of a better looking TV monitor look. And let's turn it off the brush. So that's all good and well. The only issue is if I try to merge all the layers, the additive effect gets ignored, and that's to do with the way the shaders work internally. They don't actually take into account the additive effect because of the way the plot system works. It's all a bit complicated, and I know why and how it does it, but it's a long way to make it work with the merging. So all you do is just do the fast capture, because all that's doing is just looking at what it sees there and just grabbing that, which kind of is nice, right? So I'll click that and I put on the brush again. You can see now I've got this, so I can control backspace, and now I've got this as a brush. Now if I want to capture this brush, like I don't actually have it stored, it's kind of like put it into memory but not stored it anywhere. So I'll plot it down, and then now I can either do a full capture or a merge. So if I do a full capture, just go up here, because now it doesn't care about the additive effect, because it kind of already took a snapshot of what it saw, regardless of the actual plot having the additive effect. It's a bit weird. That should actually say version 1.30. I need to fix that. So this is now a new brush, and let's call it GB CRT test. And there we go. So now I've got a little Gameboy screen. I can do whatever I want with that. You see as I scale down it gets a little bit kind of a weird moire effect where the checkers aren't compatible with the resolution. It's just the way it goes. So now I can do other stuff, like maybe I can do a 3D distort mode on that. Let's just pick it and, you know, tilt it a little bit, zoom out. Let's bring the brush off it and, you know, change the field of view, tilt it some more. And instead of this capture 3D, I think actually I could just do this capture effect, but it's going to like grab the sky as well. That's the only issue. Let's just pick some colours here. It makes sense. Well, that looks kind of cool. I can also rotate this. So if I wanted a cool looking, let's just do Control and E and R. You can also right click to reset these, by the way. That'll do. So these rotate. So I can do something like that, little runway. Let's tilt it so we get a bit more like that. So if I run across the Game Boy screen, and so I could do the fast capture, right? That's just gonna capture what it sees like that. And now I switch that brush over. It switches the sprite, so I just need to click that again, and it's actually reset the rotation. So these are little kind of bugs that I'm slowly learning. It's also reset the scale. So that's the difference between the fast capture. Actually, you're better to use the capture 3D because of the way it works. So capture 3D is actually going to capture exactly what it sees in 3D and give you this as a brush, right? And if I want to plot that down, just do that again, because now it's still a brush that's in temporary memory, but it's not the same as this fast capture. That will reset a lot of things, whereas capture 3D won't reset. It resets things a different way that matches the 3D perspective. So they're two different things. So I can flip that by pressing Y, flip that vertically, and then kind of put that there, and I've got this kind of inner space type thing. Now I've got that, I can do another pixel mode on it and do something completely different. Let's turn off the CRT effect. Let's change the palette, and we change the dither image to the gradient. Let's go one more step up here. Let's change the pixel blending and the range, and we get something kind of cool. Let's change the palette up. Let's change the whole color of these. So if I'm on layer 10 and I click preview, I can now bring in the shader, choose a different color palette, and yeah, kind of see how that looks and go kind of halfway. Happy with that, click bake, and now I can just left click and choose different skies. And that orange one I'll just colour pick some brown tone there, and that looks kind of cool. I can bring in the CRT effect because we're in pixel mode, and you know, and so on and so forth, and make some cool looking effects. It's quite a powerful tool, this. So the main new thing is the fact that you can override the palettes. There's more palettes now. If I load in, let's see, an image that I made earlier, yeah. So here's a photograph that I downloaded. Let's just switch that back to regular mode. So there's a photograph there. Let's actually bring that there and update it so we don't have any extra colour. So it's going to be the original colour of the photo, right? Let's just turn the brush off by pressing B, and now I'm going to bring in pixel mode. So it tells us there 320 by 200 C64, so that's already set up to look like a Commodore 64. You can play with the dither range, the dither image. So I like these first three. This is like a full-on dithering, like a Bayer matrix. And then the second one is checkerboard. And the next one's the every second line, the sort of scan lines, which I like a lot. Third one is like vertical strips and then dots. So it's kind of hard to see to kind of really push it, but it's vertical strip then dots. The next one is let's see, it's pixel mode, dither image. Is horizontal lines then dots. And the next one is, I think there's a kind of variation of the one before, and then we get these diagonals, and then these kind of gradient bars, and more diagonals, more diagonals, and then dithering as a slightly different dithering effect. We're back to a sort of checker, so kind of modified checker, and then we get these sort of ring patterns. It's easier to see it down the bottom one. So these are just overlays, kind of like a canvas texture, but that works really well with the pixel shaders. So you get all that pixel art sort of niceness for free. It took a while for me to develop all these though, so I'm not calling it cheating, because the amount of time it took me to develop all these shaders, about 6 months, has kind of paid off. It's kind of like training a machine to do AI. The person that's trained it has put in all their knowledge and their energy into that thing to do what they want, you know, and then I'm kind of sharing that. So Backdrop Designer is less than $5 on itch. I put it on ArtStation as well, and there's also going to be the source code available to buy, but it's not going to be cheap because I put a lot of different skills and techniques and loads of programming hours in there. So if you do decide to buy it, there's a whole lot of junk that you might throw out, or you might, you know, spin off and make your own tool from this. If you do make your own tool and you intend on selling it, you need to get permission from me, because I want to make sure that you've not just cloned it and looking to, you know, make a buck from it. Also, that's why it's so expensive to buy the source code, just in case that is the case. But it's made in Game Maker Studio 2 from scratch just before Christmas 2021, and I'm really happy with it. There's loads of cool features in here that I've shown in other videos, especially like the eye level factor. If you bring in this slider, there's a little dash here, and if I move away from the dash, the object gets larger, especially for the sky as well, just in case you want clouds to come closer. But if I go here, so I can actually like place, if I get this size right, so I'll just scale the brush down a bit. Let's just say there's a tree down here, and I can press X to flip there. I can put a tree there, flip again, put some trees in the foreground. I can actually change this later, change the position, and also the adjustments, like how much they kind of grow by. A new thing that I've added as well is this Y scale. So if you look at this one at the top left, can actually, let's just turn that factor off for now. I can actually scale brushes, or squash. I can squash and stretch them. In other words, right? I can squash them horizontally to some degree, not too much. I don't want it to be too much distorted, but definitely this way you can distort it right down to nothing. I should really put a clamp on it, but it's cool. I can change these red tones up for some pink. I actually have original sort of stuff here. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but anyway, I'm just thinking out loud and just make these brown tones. Like that. A bit darker. There we go, got a nice tree there. I can then come into, like, here's some leaves. I'm going to have the two of these actually, so I'm going to control click to get both of them at random. And then do random rotation range, but size range. I can click in some more leaves in here, just for a bit more texture. Let's bring this colour up a bit more, and this one, get even more brighter leaves, scale it down a bit. And I'm just going to hold down Shift whilst drawing. It's going to draw loads of them. About like that. Right, and I can always switch back to no pixel mode, and you see how it looks. It doesn't look as good, right? I like it in the pixel mode, but it's like non-destructive. You can always come back, do these things. But if you did want like an additive effect, you do have to use the fast capture after it, and it does limit you to this, what you see here, which is a 1280 by 800 resolution. But it's good for backgrounds, or if you want to do like an overlay. For example, let's say I switch all this off, right, and I go to layer 14 and I'll grab a square. Let's make the square all black, scale it right up, right up, and then just plop that down. Then I'm going to go to my circle and make this all yellow. Like that, and let's just say I wanted some bloom areas. Let's do a yellow bloom and a red bloom here. Right, I'm going to do, I'll turn off the pixel mode for this actually, and I'll do a fast capture. Right, so now I've captured this. Now that I've captured this, I can turn off that layer, turn that layer back on. Let's bring in our pixel mode. This one, I'll go to layer 17, say I've got this here from the fast capture, and switch it to additive, and now you can see, because the background of this was black, it's only going to add these up, so I can get this kind of bloom area. So I'll go to layer 17, I'll plop these down in here, and then I can right click to change the opacity, right click drag, so now I can get a kind of bloom effect out of those. Also, if I want to blur it up, I can click on preview and then increase the blur if I want to, or the cut out. Can't really see it so much because of that, but I can kind of blur that up a bit more. If I switch the pixel mode off, you see it a tiny bit better. Right, but that's a good way of getting some bloom effect. Loads of little quirky things. Not easy to grasp at first. Even for me, when I was making them, I'm thinking users aren't really going to get this, but additive mode's nice. So you see, if I don't use additive mode, this is just opaque, right? It's when you do additive mode, it's more like a projector. So projectors aren't good at projecting black, but they're good at projecting anything, you know, that's quite bright. And then you can use that to do little kind of lens flare things and rotate it around. Oops, I've got random rotation on there and size. So if I wanted a little lens flare, I could do something like that. Little orbs coming out of there. And that's all cool. So that's pretty much it for the latest update. Still a quirky tool, still in its very early days. It's only it's a 6-month-old baby. Sorry, probably 8 months now, and it's still teething, and it's still crying, and a lot of things aren't easy to grasp yet. But all I would say is just try things to see what they do. For example, this one that I just clicked on there, turn off the additive mode, let's bring back full opacity. You can see I've clicked 0 or 1. Well, that means if I take one of these tones out, you can see how it snaps at 50%. It's either all or nothing. See, I'm taking that red tone away. But if I have that switched off, it's more gradual. Cut out amount actually cuts away all the soft transparency. So you can get completely different looks from any brush at all. You can do whatever you want. The good thing about the additive effect, like I showed you when you're painting black, let me just show you this before we go. So I'll just clear everything. If I click one of these and right click this black tone, they'll both become black, which is ideal. And let's say I want to build up my own RGB brush. Let's just go to the circle here. Yeah, this will do, right? So I've got a little bit of the cut out, but I want to make everything blue. Right, let's go new color, switch on additive, right, and let's say I want to get random circles, so I've got 3 random circles when I paint, or a mix. So I'll do this one, I'm going to right click to get red, I'm in additive so you see how it adds up. I'm going to scale it like this so I can tell the difference. So I'll get that one, and then I'll rotate it 90 degrees, like that, and then I'll get green, all green, and add that one in, and that's it. So I've got our RGB brush, right? Now I can fast capture that, right? I have to use fast capture. I can't use capture because I've used additive mode. The capture brush doesn't like additive mode because of the way it works, right? Like I mentioned before. So you can turn that off or whatever. It will turn it off anyway. And I've captured it, right? Also want to reset the Y scale. That's something I forgot to do. So I just need to take a note to myself to do that. But now I've got this brush. Control backspace and clear everything and take away the background. See how I've got that? You can see how it snapped there because I've got the cut out amount on. Right, so I'll gradually take it away. You can use cut out amount just to make sure it's completely gone. But now this is like semi-transparent. I've got a whole new object, and now I can use the shader. So I'm swapping those colours out. If you look at the blue channel, and I've only got blue in there, and I'll bring that in, only the blue tones will be coming that, and then the red, only the red tones, and then green, only the green tones, and I can have mixtures, so green and red. Yeah, and I can rotate this and everything, can do some cool spirograph patterns, you know, like you could back in the day with the cool pens and the cogs and stuff, all that cool stuff. So what you can do now is you can turn on auto random, and anything that's not locked, it's gonna randomize between those. Alright, and if I do 0 or 1, it's literally gonna give me combinations. So I've got this like brush that's given me 3 different things, and I can easily change the colour up. Sometimes it gives me nothing, so I'll just yeah, just turn that off actually. Sometimes it gives you nothing because it's given me all of that, right? And that's just the way it goes, no big deal. It's a random thing, but now I can sort of build up a thing like that. Let's do random rotational range, random size range, a little bit of colour variation. Let's switch on the eye level factor and get this really kind of spacey pattern. You can also press W and you'll get this repeated, horizontally repeatable texture in case you want to have a scrollable background. Hence why this is called background designer, or backdrop designer even. It used to be called background designer. I might change the name again, who knows. Right, and then we can switch on additive mode as well if you wanted to go kind of crazy with that. And if you really like that image, just make sure before you save or export or anything, you have to do the fast capture if you've used additive mode. It's the only thing that works together. So fast capture gives me this image. I clear everything, I can plot it down, I can do my pixel mode on it and get some really spiffy looking art. Change my dither range, my dither image, change the pixel blends, and just really kind of have fun with it. Override the palette, try these different palettes out. Funky. And it's all tileable as well, like it's all going to repeat itself. See, that's W wrap mode. So it's just a case of trying things out. Feel free to just click stuff. You know, if it breaks anything, let me know, but mostly everything is robust here. It's just a case of me now redoing the UI with categories and things and making it a bit easier to understand the additive mode. Very quirky stuff, but you can get some nice results from it, so I hope you enjoy using it, and just jump over to Itch to help support me while I develop this. This is my Itch page, RR Freelance, Pixel Burner, and I've got some cool stuff in here. Commodore 64 conversion tools, mix environment sprites, a sprite editor for Commodore, platformer tile set template, loads of sprites, more sprites and pixel art stuff, 3D painted character model, loads of little 3D plants and plant pots, and some other cool things, so it's worthwhile checking it out. Yeah, loads of good stuff for Unity as well. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.